What up, what up? Good morning, people.
This is the Vajetta Broadcast Show.
Timpin Salone.
Timpin Salone. That never gets old.
How you doing, Brother Jabisky?
I'm doing all right. Looking forward to recording this episode. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Can't complain. You know, it's been a colorful week. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yep. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about our first topic. So the first question I have for you today, Q, is why is it never okay to lie?
Because when you lie, you always have to remember the lie prior to that. I think the reason why people lie is to escape accountability. Because I think when you take accountability, there has to be action behind it. And so I think a lot of times it's easy to look outside of self rather than in the mirror to address the change that you need to see. How about yourself?
Yeah, I would say it definitely is never okay to lie. I know we probably have all lied before, but I guess in general, you shouldn't really be feeling good about it. I think it's never okay because I think you can betray someone's trust by lying to somebody, and then I feel like it's not good just for yourself and your self-morals too to lie. So I think that's why it is never okay to lie.
Do you think, from your perspective, why do you think after people get caught lying, they still kind of continue to lie or just kind of continue on that same kind of path rather than take accountability?
Yeah, I think the whole thing is they're probably trying to avoid accountability or trying to dodge, look at themselves internally and taking responsibility or blame for that lie or admitting it. So I feel like once you started, you kind of have that embarrassing feeling, I guess, if you do get caught in a lie, having to explain yourself and kind of show your full self. So I feel like once you start a lie, you kind of want to continue it and just see, okay, how far can this go? Because I guess it is bigger. You have to be the bigger person to admit when you lie, and a person can take your lie and then see how you are and kind of judge you for it, and you have to kind of show your full self and really not be afraid of that accountability line. So I think that's why people can kind of like avoid saying that they lied.
Yeah, and I think time reveals everything. You know, I think sometimes when you listen to understand rather than listening to respond, the truth kind of reveals itself. And that's something that, you know, I want 2024 to be about, is just the truth coming to light and being ever so present. I think that, you know, the greatest disrespect you can do to a person is an insult their intelligence. And I think that's what you're kind of seeing more so today. You're seeing a lack of authenticity. You're seeing a lack of genuineness. But I think that the problem with lying and just not being accountable is just the fact that you always have to remember that lie. And the problem with that is once you kind of continue a lie and continue lies and continue lies, you kind of create a mountain into, you know, something that's hard to contain, I'll say. But how do you think you should address lying in terms of a relationship? Like, how do you think you should overcome that? Or what do you think a conversation should be if you catch your partner in a lie?
Mm-hmm. So there's the conversation of, so you're the person that caught somebody else a lie, how the person who lies should respond, or how you, the person who's finding out the lie, should respond?
You finding out. So let's say, you know, let's use Jabisky for an example. Let's say you have a young lady. Let's say you guys are in a romantic relationship. And let's say you ask her a question about something in particular. We don't need to get specific. And she is less than truthful. And I think a lot of times you also have to remember lie of omission is still lying as well. Because I think sometimes you can tell the half truth, but it's the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. So back to the question is, if you were in a relationship, with a romantic relationship with a woman, how would you respond if you found out the woman was lying to you? Like, what's the best approach you think that's productive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, the key thing that you said there is productive. I think there's a productive way of handling it. There's a way where you can kind of feed into the lie and kind of make the situation worse. So I'll say overall, I think first you got to address it head on. I think, yes, one thing, when you know you lied, then when the person's lying. So I guess once you find that out, you got to just bring it on straight forward to that person to ask them about the situation and see how they respond. Because I feel like the response is really going to tell you all you need to know. So if you present them, okay, I say for example, you did this, and then they lie, oh, I didn't do that, but then you find out and you have proof that they did, and you bring that forward to that person. I think the productive way is just bringing it head on, saying, okay, hey, this is what happened, then seeing how the person responds to the person. that did the lying fully admits, okay, I'm sorry, I did this, that, and explain the reasoning, and they're really sincere about it and have a lot of remorse and regret about it. I think that's one way of just handling it, just having a mature and honest conversation and trying to be honest so that moving forward you can help continue to build trust in that relationship. So I think that's the main thing, is presenting it full on and having a open and honest conversation where I guess there is probably going to be some judgment that you're going to have, but trying to have no judgment, just to kind of really just hear them out first and kind of try and work your way through it. So I think that's probably one of the best ways to do it. What would you say?
Never match emotion with emotion. I think that's like mixing like oil and vinegar or oil and fire, whatever the analogy is there. But I think it's just always never let somebody get you out of your box and always remain in control. You always have to remember that you're the captain and this is your ship and this is your boat. You're the conductor. So I think that sometimes when you get into situations that could be high stress, sometimes we like to match emotion with emotion. And I think sometimes the conversation turns into how you said it versus what was actually being said. So I think that you always have to remember not to create more problems when the problems are in front of your face, if that makes sense. So the best way I can answer your question is just always stay in control, always stay logical in the situation, and always be comfortable with taking a step back and saying maybe this is a conversation for another day at a different time when cooler heads prevail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's definitely very important, especially when things are heated, to take a step back and kind of let things calm down. 'Cause things can definitely get a lot worse when both sides, there's heated arguments and things like that. So I think, yeah, definitely, like you were saying, to take a day, kind of really internalize all your thoughts and feelings, and then have a more productive way of just having it, the conversation in the future where everybody's cool, calm, and collective. You can really address the problem, because I think if both sides are heated, I don't think people might not be aiming to get the problem solved. So I think, yeah, definitely taking time, taking a step back, and really fully internalizing your thoughts and everything, so that everything can be fully addressed. I think that's the key thing there.
Yeah, and life's about decisions and opportunities, and I think the decisions and opportunities you take advantage of kind of shape your life, and I think it only takes one bad decision to cause catastrophic impact to your life. And I think that everybody has agency over their life as far as their choices and decisions, but I think as you get older, the decisions that you make have greater consequences, and I think we don't have to go too far of seeing what's going on in the news to see people who make poor decisions. And, I'm not above anybody else. We've all, fall short. But I think that there's just a certain level of accountability and a certain level of peace that you kind of got to walk with, and especially in today's time. So I would just say make good decisions and always keep your emotions in check. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then continuing on with this topic, do you think you can ever forgive a person who gets caught lying to you?
I think what I've learned is forgiving is for self and it's not for the other person, because I would hate to walk through life bitter and angry at the world and taking animosity towards a person who don't deserve it. So I think that a lot of times whenever you see somebody who has a lot of hate in their heart, 9 times out of 10, they direct that energy toward everybody else except for that person in certain cases. So I think the best way I would answer that question is, I think the best way to forgive is just to take accountability for your role in the situation. Because I think that wherever the situation is, there's always some level of accountability or a lesson that you can take from it for your role in that situation. And I think we as a society got to stop trying to change people to fit our narrative or definition of a relationship. I think that God made everybody for a specific reason and specific purpose, and it's not your job to bring that person into your life and try to change them. That's probably the biggest reason why there's a lot of hurt and a lot of emotions going on in today's society, is because instead of you being the best you that you can be, I want to take you from your world and put you in my environment and make you the best for me. And sometimes the best for me may not be the best for you, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's definitely important to forgive somebody, even if they lied to you. I think, yeah, like you were saying, it's good not only for yourself, but just to help you move forward in the situation. Because if you don't forgive, a lot that's going to be internalized and it's going to affect you and everything going forward. And like you were saying, it's going to affect the people around you, and you might have attitude and different things you might be expressing towards them because you haven't internally dealt with forgiving that person if they've done you wrong. So I think, yeah, it's definitely important to forgive. And like I was saying, you won't be able to move forward unless you fully address that head on. And I'd say, yeah, definitely you can forgive. And then I think there's a saying, you forgive, but don't forget. So you can forgive. There's a situation where maybe if the person, they're not right for you, you might have been in a situation where it's like the final straw, like you can't continue the relationship further. It's okay to forgive the person, then walk away from that situation. So I think that will be best for you, both mentally and just in general, just with your happiness. I think it's definitely important to forgive because you don't want to be bottling that in and affecting other people and hurting yourself. So I think, yeah, it's definitely important to forgive, then also forgiving, and then also moving forward along with that after that.
Do you think that there's certain things that are unforgivable?
I think there's levels of different things, but I'd say there's things I think that can really cause a stain, that can really, I guess, trouble you. I think it's very important, no matter what the situation is, to forgive. There's definitely things where it's going to be like a high level where it's going to be very hard to forgive. But I think, speaking, for myself as a Christian, like it's definitely important to forgive. Definitely learning that throughout the years, and just seeing how it can really put you in a negative mindset and mind state. So I think there's definitely things where I think people, if they don't have that foundation, might not be able to ever forgive somebody depending on what they've done. But I think for me personally, I don't think there's something that that guy could never forgive somebody, but to each their own. I think there's definitely, like you were saying, there's definitely levels of things where it's going to be very, very, very hard to forgive. But I would say overall, there is a way, but you got to have that foundation. You got to have that mentality to forgive, depending on the situation.
I mean, to move the conversation forward, I think there's a way to forgive, but I think the $1 million question that the American people need answered is just, there's a way to forgive, but how do you forgive and still move forward and still be productive and still have progress? Because I think that's the hardest part to balance, is to forgive, but what does the forgiveness look like with this still person in my environment, in my circle? So to answer the question, I say, I think the measure of what a man's forgive is up to the reflection in the mirror. But I do think that it's unproductive to hold grudges on people for actions that they've already confessed sympathy for, though. And I think you also have to get into the habit of not creating a bigger situation because you're not forgiving and just trying to hold grudges, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, the main thing you were saying there is if the person admitted it, they apologized, it took accountability. I think that's really all you can do. And then on your end, you have to, I guess, if you are in the mindset of forgiving, accepting, and moving forward, because nothing's going to really do you any good, continue to hold that grudge or hold yourself back. So that's the main thing. But I think the difficult things, maybe even forgiving someone, maybe they haven't even admitted it to you or themselves about something like that. So I think, how would you deal with somebody who may have lied or done something wrong to you, and they never have admitted it or even asked, said an apology, or even ask for forgiveness for that situation?
I think sometimes you have to learn how to be debonair in certain situations and realize that it's not your job to hold people accountable. It's only your job to hold people accountable in your environment. And you can't hold somebody else accountable who doesn't have the self-awareness to accept that criticism. So I think sometimes you have to realize that every battle is not worth fighting. So I would say, and that's something that I'm trying to sharpen, a skill that I'm also learning from you, because I think we've had, situations where being politically savvy, socially savvy, having a poker face in certain situations is sometimes being productive, because sometimes you shouldn't wear your emotions on your sleeve and not everything deserves your reaction. So I think sometimes people apologize because they got caught and not because of the specific action. So I think there always has to be a distinction of sorry you got caught versus taking accountability for that situation, because I think saying sorry is not an excuse for the behavior. It's supposed to be an acknowledgement of the behavior. But I think sometimes when there's a lack of accountability and there's not self-awareness in the situation, it's almost like it's only I'm sorry because you caught me in the lie. So
Yeah, I think those situations when people find themselves in that specific situation where they never acknowledge, or if they do acknowledge, they're just saying it just because they got caught, that could probably be the hardest situations to forgive and move forward. So I think at the end of the day, I think you gotta do it for yourself, because you don't want to you don't want to have this situation continue to have a negative impact as you continue to move forward. So I think if you want to move forward and really just continue to live on life and just have those happy times, those times where you can really just move forward, I think even if the person admits it just because they're just saying just to say it, it's really just up to you to personally just control how you are feeling. I think after things have been addressed, or after things, you might have the conversation with that person, just explaining your side of how you feel, and I guess explain the situation fully, and the person still doesn't fully admit to it, or they just say sorry just to say sorry, just to continue things to go forward. I think you really just got to have that internalized moment where, okay, you realize that person maybe didn't fully acknowledge or just said sorry just to say sorry. I think you got to just really control how your emotions are, just not only forgive them, but forgive them for you internally, so you can continue to move forward in that situation and in life.
well said. I think that sometimes even forgiving is a silent gesture. I think sometimes even when you forgive, it doesn't have to be something public or something even grand. You could do that individually and internally. And I think that that's sometimes where you kind of have to have balance in your life and realize that not every battle is worth fighting. Not everything needs to be broadcasted. Not every situation or, experience needs to be, a story IG post, But, I just think that just comes with life and maturing. I think as you get older, you learn how to deal with colorful situations that the blessing of aging brings. So I just think that it's just a skill that I think that everybody can sharpen in 2024. That's what, 2024 is going to be about for me.
Yeah, it's definitely, I guess, like we've been saying, it is very hard to forgive, especially when it's easy to say, okay, if you're not involved in the situation, you give somebody advice. But it's another thing when you're actually in the situation where you personally have had your feelings hurt, you personally have been lied to or been done wrong. So I think it's definitely something that you learn over time. I think the older and more mature you get, you learn the importance of forgiveness and how really it can do good for you, and not really to hold grudges on people who have done you wrong. So I think the main thing is realizing as you grow older, forgiveness is mainly just for you personally, so you could continue to move forward and be in high spirits as you move forward in life.
Because it's always a blessing to walk around this earth in a place of peace. And I think that a lot of people sometimes hold so much animosity and so much anger toward unresolved conversation and unresolved closure in certain situations that create an environment of unproductivity and just negativity. So I think that the best way to forgive somebody is to forgive yourself first. It is forgive yourself for even being in that situation or even allowing that situation into your environment, and take the necessary steps each day to be better because of it. Not saying being perfect, but just saying that, okay, cool, this happened. This was my role in the situation. Let me look in the mirror and figure out what is it about myself that may be attracting this energy into my life, or what can I do to self-improve and self-analyze to be a better person every day. And I think that's kind of just the best way to improve and have progress, and also accept the fact that just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean that they have to forgive you, because that's an entitlement nature there. I think a lot of times people only do things for the result or for the return of energy or of emotion, and you can't really do that. Like, you can't forgive somebody just because you want them to forgive you. You got to forgive them because that's what you want to do. For example, you can see a lot of times if it's somebody's birthday. If I wish you happy birthday, Trubisky, and you don't wish me happy birthday on my birthday, a lot of people have animosity and negativity toward that. But the problem with that emotion is you should have wished him happy birthday because that's what you wanted to do without reciprocity. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I'm even learning how to just grow and master in that, aspect of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then continuing on that of things being reciprocal, I think the important thing also is there's been situations where I know probably for both of us where we've had to ask for forgiveness, where we've done where we've done where we've done wrong to somebody else, and we've personally had to ask for forgiveness. So I think also with this topic is just realizing we might have been in similar situations where we might be asking for forgiveness, but we might have been in a situation where we've done somebody else wrong. We have to ask for forgiveness for that person ourselves. So I think, as I say, like, treat others how the way you want to be treated. So I think the main thing is really just realizing that this person did me wrong, but there's been situations where maybe I've done somebody wrong, and I know I would want to be forgiven. I would at least have that respect level to where even if we don't see eye to eye anymore, we can continue to move forward. So I think you're just realizing too that even if though somebody might have done you wrong, there's definitely been situations where, because since we're all human, we all make mistakes where we've done somebody else wrong, and that's important too, just to realize that putting yourself in the other person's shoes too, where there's definitely been times where we've all had to ask for forgiveness or have lied or done something wrong. So just seeing both sides of the picture, I think, is definitely important as you continue to mature and move forward in life.
Well said, to err is human. And I think that we've all have been in a season of needing grace and forgiveness. I think it's just important to just really analyze the energies that's around you and really take heed to the people that God have brought you into your life, and understand that it's okay to be in solitude and it's okay to have boundaries. Not everything is for you. Not everything needs to be for you. There's certain events, certain parties that, because of who you are and have boundaries, may not be the environment that you need to go into. And you always got to have confidence in yourself, realizing that I understand that's for you, but that doesn't mean that's for me. And I think once people kind of really digest that and take heed to that, realizing that not everything's for everybody, I think the world would be a better place. So yeah. In terms of forgiveness and the advent of social media, if somebody owes you money and you see them on social media going to Dubai, Paris, quote unquote, living their best life, do you think that even makes it harder to forgive because now you can kind of see how the person is moving through life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say it's definitely harder. I think we got to continue to move forward. It's definitely, especially on social media, just seeing all the things people can really broadcast their lives. So definitely seeing it. I think it's definitely gonna add an extra sting to it. So
somebody got to get on followed.
Yeah. Yeah, I say it definitely makes it harder. But I think, like we were saying before, it is important to forgive. I guess you were saying in this situation, the person owes you money, so that might make it even more hurt even more. So might be a situation you have to remind us, like, you need to be playful. Like, hey, I see you're having a good time. You remember the situation back then. Is there any update on that? So I think there's a playful way you can address it. But I think the main thing is, I guess, not to let it hold grudges. So I think you can have a positive I guess not necessarily positive because the person really owes you money. You really want that. But I think being patient. I think having that open communication. So I think addressing it. Remind the person, because sometimes people can kind of move forward and forget. So they're really just addressing it and then seeing what their response is. It's either going to be, okay, yeah, I will, or maybe another time that you see, maybe it's a cycle where they're going to continue to push it back. So I think you got to really just be prepared for any answer that you get and could be prepared to move forward without getting that money back.
Yeah, and always loaning money is always a cancer to society, because I think I like to have the approach of, if I'm going to give it to somebody, then I need to be in a position to give it off excess. not based on what I need. And I also, anything I try to give away, I have to accept the fact that if I'm giving it to somebody, there is a possibility that there will be no reciprocity. And I'm not going to give something to somebody expecting reciprocity. Or I try to get into a mode, if I'm giving to somebody, give it to because I want to give and not because I'm expecting something. Even if they say they're going to give it back, I need to be in a place where even if they don't, I have to accept the fact and be at a place of peace in order for me to give it, that it's cool if they don't. So I think money is one of those things that I think whenever you give, it's always, let me not say that. Let me not say that. I'm trying to be politically correct. This is a family show. I'm trying to, I'm trying to be politically correct. But I mean, just in life, it goes back to what we were saying before. It's just always keeping your emotions in check because life will test you. People in life will see you progressing and living life. And once they see you get to a level that their hard work or lack of effort cannot produce, that's when the entitlement comes in. Because I think that's one of the biggest issues I see in our society is just the entitlement nature of some people. If Jabisi goes out and does XYZ TUP, there's people that feel like because you did XYZ TUP, that they're entitled to that work and hard sweat that you put in. And respectfully, you got to learn how to say no. That's just one of the hard things to really just master as you age, is being comfortable and being stern in your no, and being able to sit in that and be in peace with that is probably the benefit of aging and growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely hard to, especially with peer pressure and different things involved, being able to really stand your ground, because it definitely is very powerful being able to hold your own. I think because people will definitely take a note of that. They'll really see, okay, this person really is a person of their word. So I think definitely it's important to really stand on your own morals and really be able to be okay just living the way how you want to live, and just because I think you're the only one that has to live with your actions. So I think it's definitely important to really stand your ground and don't give in to things that you don't want to do.
Do you think that with social media, too many people are living outside of the moment or living for other people's expectations?
Yeah, I think, that's definitely one of the negative aspects, is that we sometimes on social media will look just for the approval of others, just say, oh, I'm doing this. I want a reaction. I want to see somebody say, oh, yeah, it's good for you. I really wish I was there. Or, you're really living life right now. So I think definitely there's definitely an aspect of social media where we look for approval instead of just showing this is what I'm doing, not necessarily looking for that approval. So I think there's a way to where you're really just trying to be social with people and really just have that positive interaction where you're really just trying to engage, not necessarily in a way for attraction or just to really just show, I guess, different things that you're doing or different things that you want people to be envy of you or really just be jealous of you. I think there's a way to handle social media where it's more broadcasting and being active, just showing people this is what I'm doing, versus just a post just to get a reaction or get a response or just get that positive reinforcement.
Well said. I think we said this in our very first episode that, social media is a tool and you kind of give it the purpose and the use. I think that I always joke that I'm one missed Wi-Fi bill away from having an opinion. So I think that with social media, I think in the years to come, I think there's probably going to be a study on how social media really affected people's lives. I think there was a story about a teacher that actually quit his job because the kids were on their phone too much, and he did everything in his power to stop the kids being on their phone. I have to put an article down in the comments for the people to read, but I think that it all kind of goes full circle into the forgiveness, entitlement, and kind of social media use. I think everybody is kind of living outside of self-awareness and outside of their reflection in the mirror, if that makes sense. I think a lot of times when you have conversations with people about what they kind of want to do in life, sometimes it doesn't even really sound like that's what they want. It just sounds like that's what the internet told you to say, because your follow-up and the details that you have in the conversation don't really match up with the things that you say you want in life. That's why I always say things sound good, but I just think that a humble and gratitude perspective in life and always surrounding yourself with people that can hold you accountable is kind of the best way to move, because I think you can see situations in the news where people surround themselves with people who are not productive or have alternate intentions for what is best for them, if that makes sense.
So speaking of social media, we definitely see a lot of people traveling to various locations throughout the world. Would you say it's been a recent boom of people trying to travel compared to people previously, or you think social media has played a role to the increase of travel, if you see it that way?
I think through social media, people idolize the lifestyle rather than the actual work it takes to produce that lifestyle. And one thing I always try to instill in myself is to act your wage, and it's no problem living at your lifestyle and learning how to say no. I think a lot of times people go on vacation to show other people they're on vacation rather than actually have the grace and humility to enjoy the experience of them actually on vacation. I don't know, and this is just my humble opinion, and of course I could be wrong. I don't know how much fun you could be having always showcasing what you're doing rather than actually doing what you actually are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, depending, because a lot of people, they might have the means to travel, and a lot of people that might be on their bucket list to travel just really just to get out there and explore, because that you can really find yourself traveling. You can really just, there's I guess, an excitement, there's a joy, there's a sense of just getting away from the normal day-to-day things, normal stresses of like just being able to travel, and being able to have that experience. Those are definitely, with depending on who you travel with too, just the stories you can have, just the time just to enjoy with friends and family. So I think traveling is definitely important for people, just to really just get out and really just explore the world. Because that's definitely, I think a lot of people, they might have on their bucket list to travel across the world. They have different things, different places they want to go and see, just sightseeing just in general. So I think as long as you can afford it, as long as you have the means to provide for yourself and really just enjoy the moment too. I think, like we're saying, we're speaking with social media, I think there's a way to where you can record different things at times, but just maybe save it for your camera roll too. Like that. So another way to really just be in the moment. Then if you want to just post, like you can do like a highlight of like, oh, here's my trip, and just have it all together. Just really being able to live in the moment, and maybe even posting about it after. I think that's maybe like a way to kind of balance it too, of being able to have that social media aspect of just being able to just be social, just showcase what you're doing, not in a way to brag, but just in a way to really just be social with people and showing that you do like to travel. I think there's a way to balance where you can record things, but don't post it immediately. Maybe just record things to have on your camera roll. Just maybe at first it might just be all a memory just to have for that trip. I think there's definitely a way to use social media and traveling, just showcase it in a positive way, not to show it just to brag or just to have that that engagement or just trying to make people jealous of the lifestyle you're living. So I think there's definitely a balance, and there's a way to do it to where you're enjoying things in the moment, but also being able to still be social with your friends and family.
And especially with social media, you never know who's watching, you know? And especially when we live in a world that has a certain type of energy, to say the least, especially in today's society. You never know who's watching you or who's tracking. So always trying to be mindful of just how you move and just being, as you would say, just cognizant of, you know, kind of what you put out into the environment. But I think that, you know, this is a beautiful world with a lot of different experiences and a lot of different cultures and colorful energies. And of course, go experience it, go live life to the fullest, but also do it in a way where it's productive and efficient, and you're not doing it because of outside pressures or outside expectations. Because I think you see a lot of times people trying to keep up with certain lifestyles, certain expectation, and realizing the fall from grace they have. And I think that just having self-awareness is something that we preach on this show. Just having self-awareness in God, in your life and family is kind of like the three ingredients that you kind of really need to have any type of success in life. And I think that, you know, social media is a blessing and it's cursed. You know, I don't want, you know, us to always kind of downside, you know, social media, because I think that there's definitely certain advantages, certain technological advances that social media brings. So I just think that it's just a lot of capping on the internet.
Yeah, I say with social media, there's definitely a fear of missing out factor. I think especially like with the topic of traveling, you see people that post on social media throughout the year just to travel to different places. There's definitely a fear of missing out, or just seeing, oh, that person's going there, I want to go there. But I think with social media, I think there's definitely been a rise in traveling because I think now we have more access to different things. You're able to see more. So then you can see before you go, this is what it's looking like. There's different resorts. People might recommend different locations. People might be able to recommend. There's probably even social media pages just dedicated to travel where you can really see people's different travel excursions. So I think, like you were saying, there's definitely positive and negative. I think as long as at the end of the day you're doing things for you and not just for the approval of others, then that's the main thing. As long as you're enjoying it for yourself and really just if it's traveling, if it's something else, is really being able to do it for you and not for the approval of others. Like that's the main thing. You just gotta realize. I think as long as you're doing that, you can live life however you want to live.
Indeed. I think that you brought up something about fear and missing out, and I think that's definitely a real thing that goes on, especially in this generation. I think the pandemic kind of had a degree of kind of amplifying that and kind of influencing that to a degree. But I think, I go back to say hard work is everything. And I think sometimes just because you are not at that place right now doesn't mean that you're not going to be there in the future. And I think there's certain blessings that God has put on this earth that come from hard work and dedication and time that reveals. I think sometimes there's certain blessings that people want overnight that your hard work hasn't produced yet. So I think you always have to be in a season of just being humble and just being grateful for where you are in life. And I think, it's nothing better than working hard and reaping the benefits of what you worked hard for. But I think sometimes it's hard to really appreciate anything that you didn't put your blood, sweat, and tears in. Because I think that, for example, if I just give you $1,000, you will be appreciative. But it's going to be a little bit different if you got up every day at 7 o'clock in the morning and worked your way to earn that $1,000. You're going to appreciate it a little bit more. It's going to mean a little bit more to you versus if somebody just gave it to you. And I think that in life, if somebody always continues to give, and you should give because it's always a blessing to share, but I think it creates a level of entitlement. So I think that you have to balance being generous, but also being accountable. So, yeah. Mr. Jabrissi, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You've heard the old adage that money doesn't buy happiness. Do you think it solves all your problems, though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say it doesn't solve all your problems. It could aid your problems. It could help your problems. It could assist your problems. But I don't think it will fully solve your problems. So I think, with money, there's certain things you can add money to the factor. It can help, but I don't think it will fully solve, because I think there's the money aspect. Okay, physically it might have solved your problems, but did it solve your problems mentally? Did it solve your problems emotionally? So I think there is a role in that. So I think just throwing money at a situation won't guarantee you to have that problem solved. It can definitely help. It can help you, give you a head start, and help you fast track getting that problem solved. But I think there's still an aspect that I'll be missing for that problem to be fully solved. So money can help things, but I don't think it can fully solve all your problems. What do you say?
I think that a certain level of, in a capitalistic society, I think there's a certain level of resources in terms of money that's going to be needed to take care of your day to day. So I do think there's a certain threshold of money that creates the opportunity for happiness and that creates the opportunity for having a easier walk through life. But I think that there's a certain threshold that you meet that comes to be a little bit excessive. And where that line is drawn depends on the lifestyle and how the person wants to choose to live that lifestyle. I'll say that, and I think when we talked about Mr. Daniel Haynes, we talked about this. Maybe it was in Know the People or it was in the Timpin Salone episode that money is never going to keep you anywhere for any place for too long, because with inflation and the appetite for more that the human nature provides, there's always going to be something that you are chasing. So I think that it comes to a place of, if you can get to a place in your life where you could do something that you enjoy doing and also get paid for it, you're blessed. And I think that that's the place to be. It shouldn't be a monetary goal. And don't get me wrong, I support, capitalism. I understand it. And I'm not saying do not progress to your dreams. Don't always elevate and grow. But I think that there should be another aspect to it, because would you rather have a job that pays you decently, allows you to live the lifestyle that you want, or would you rather have a job that pays you excessively, but you hate that job? And that's a decision that you kind of have to make as you grow and get, a little older in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then there's the phrase, more money, more problems. So there's also, I say, yeah, going back to that with does money solve everything? The more money you have, I think it might solve one thing, but then it might open up a whole nother Pandora's box that you might not be prepared for. So I think there's always a flip side to everything. So I think just being prepared for that, like you were saying about the two different options of not making as much money, but being able to enjoy your life and lifestyle, just enjoying what you do, versus being paid maybe 10 times that or 5 times that, but not liking it, not really having that lifestyle, not being able to enjoy or even having a good work-life balance. So I think that's the main thing you want to have. Just being able to separate yourself at times to where you do have your job and the things that you're able to provide for yourself. And then if you do have a family to provide for that also, but also being mindful of having that balance to where you can disconnect and really still enjoy life, because you can find yourself trying to chase the money and really just be on top of that, but forgetting all the things that are around you and just the personal factor of just being around with people and just having the things that you're passionate about. You can kind of lose yourself, I think, if you're trying to chase more money just to have more money. But I think if you have that passion, there's a thing that you want to achieve, and with that is an added bonus of more money. I think that's one thing, but just chasing money just to have money and not really having an intended goal or things surrounding that really are going to have a positive impact on your life in all facets, I think that's something you really got to be careful for. So I think it's, like we're saying, it's not just simple as, more money is just going to solve everything. It can really have different effects on you in different areas of your life.
Yeah, and the 3 most important things, time, health, and family, are things that money can't buy. And I think that a lot of people always ask for more, but I think that you have to understand, if God blesses you with more, what are you doing with it? Or do you want to be selfish or selfless? And I think that may be the reason why certain people don't have certain blessings in their life, is because whatever they want benefits them rather than benefiting the people. And I think that anything that's worth having in excess needs to be rooted in the people and always giving to them and being of service to others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, especially you see it with athletes and different celebrities and people that do have earned that high status or a lot of them. I think you definitely see them giving back because of the opportunity they had, and just thinking about the people maybe they grew up in a community where there wasn't that many opportunities, or it was very hard to get to the place where they got to. So being able to look out for those people, really just being able to improve so that future generations can really have that positive impact of what you did, whether it's being a professional athlete or being an actor, or just anything in that public space where the money is attained and it's something that you really enjoy with that role, that is the added bonus of being paid very well. So I think it's definitely important to, if you are in that situation or you are in that status where you earn a lot and you really have a impact where you can really play a positive role in other people's lives, given the opportunity to really impact things around you, things that you're passionate about, or things that you see there's a hole in, or things that there are things that are not being fulfilled, and things that you can see with the added bonus of providing for that certain area, you can see improvement with different causes. I think that's definitely important.
Do you think American culture praises celebrity culture or celebrities to a degree?
I think, definitely with American culture, I think we see it. I think it also goes along with social media. We see it more where I think, especially in America, celebrities are really praised and are looked up to a lot. So I think definitely we see there is a celebrity culture to where people really look up to them, and there can sometimes become to a place where people can become a little too obsessive or look too deep into different things. So I think there's a healthy way of just of having that appreciation or just looking up to different people. But I think we definitely see here in America there is an obsession with celebrity and people wanting to get to that level or role. So yeah, I think I see that. What do you think?
I think that the hardest things for humans to do is just that balance, because I think we look in American culture compared to other cultures. I think humans are driven off of inspiration. I heard Nip say that before, and I think that we take inspiration from the best of us in our society. So I think that comes from, there's nothing wrong with giving people praise and showing admiration for someone, but it's always just that balance. And I think that's the key that, I want people to take away from this episode, is just always having balance to whatever you want to do in life. And I think that in life, there's certain decisions that you can make, but always having a certain level of peace and calmness and just level-headed decision making is always the best. Because of course, if you see your favorite athlete, you see your favorite actor, your favorite politician, or wordsmith, or even broadcast platform host, just always having a certain level of just, reverence and respect. But just always understand that people are people, and, sometimes you never want to meet your idols. But, yeah. And as always, we thank you for your viewing pleasure. Of course, I'm Q Echelon Carter, and here you have the illustrious Mr. Jabisky Aaron Williams. Be sure to follow us at, let them know where they can follow us at, Jabisky.
Yep. So Instagram is at Vagial.production. YouTube is Vagiato Production. If you want to check out our website, that's www.vagiato.com. Stay up to all things Vagiato.
Indeed. And if you have a voice that needs to be heard, or if you're looking for collaboration, let us know. Have a Vagiato day.